I know that many of you may think that all cheeses are bad for you. Well, not quite. It all comes down to the type of cow and how the cheese is made. In this episode, I'll share my top 6 favorite cheeses that you can safely indulge in without compromising your health. So get ready to discover some tasty options that can actually fit into your healthy lifestyle. But before we get started, make sure to subscribe to this channel or like so you get more of this coming your way. First things first, in many countries, particularly in Europe, particularly in France, Italy, and Switzerland, cheeses are made from the milk of cows that produce a specific protein called A2 casein, which is far more compatible with human digestion. The milk from these A2 cows tends to be gentler on the gut than the milk from casein A1 cows, the common breed used here in the United States and also in Northern Europe, like Ireland and England. This is why I don't recommend most cheeses here in America. Now, dairy farming uses the Holstein cows, which produce casein A1 because they're hardier and they give more milk. But sadly, research suggests that A1 casein is more inflammatory, potentially leading to more digestive discomfort, bloating, and other adverse health reactions in sensitive individuals. Sadly, American dairy cows are often raised with growth hormones and antibiotics, which can compromise milk quality and introduce unwanted residues into dairy products. In contrast, European regulations strictly limit or ban these practices, meaning their cheeses are often more natural and less processed. Additionally, many cheeses in both France and Italy are made from unpasteurized milk, and it will say raw on the label. Now, there's very interesting studies, particularly out of Italy, showing that the pasteurization process unfortunately kills off a lot of really important bacteria that improve human health, whereas raw milks do contain those sorts of bacteria. Okay, now I'm going to be holding up these packages and they're wrapped in plastic. And if you've watched my other videos, you know plastic is a problem. But the reason I'm showing you this is because I want you to actually look for things on the cheese. So for instance, this one is Pecorino Romano. Now, this is made from sheep's milk, which always contains A2 milk. Now, it's almost always aged, and there is no lactose in cheese. It is gone because the bacteria eat the lactose. Plus, there's no new 5GC in aged cheeses because the bacteria have eaten the new 5GC. You should look for country of origin. Oh my goodness, imported from Italy. You should also look for how long it's aged. This one says naturally aged for 9 months. Fun tip, the longer it's aged, the better it is for you. Now, if they have a label on the back, one of the things you want to look for is cultures. Cultures is code word for bacteria. And so we know that bacteria were added to this to make the cheese, and that's actually what you want. Pecorino grated over vegetables or enjoy as a small snack with Gundry approved nuts. It's really tasty. Again, the older any of these cheeses are aged, the better they are for you. And if you've read some of my books, aged cheeses are loaded with polyamines like spermidine, which have been shown to increase your health span dramatically. Next up, pretty easy to find, is Manchego, is the sheep cheese of Spain. Now, most cheeses from Spain are made from A1 cows, sadly. But sheep cheese is always made with casein A2 because that's what sheep milk is. You also want to look how long it's aged. And this one, 4 months. That's kind of the bare minimum. Try to look for 6, 12 months. There's even 2-year months. Sadly, for good reasons, The longer it's aged, the more it costs. The other nice thing about cheeses is they have what are called milk fat globule membranes, which are really cool proteins that actually improve your health as well. Cheeses are loaded with magnesium, potassium, and phosphorus. And once again, look on the back and you'll see cheese cultures. That's a sign that this is a bacterial product. Manchego is easy to eat. You can pair it with olives for a Mediterranean twist, or just eat it thinly sliced as a snack. Next up, true Parmigiano Reggiano. So this is the true thing that's made in Italy. Please do not be fooled by the name Parmesan cheese. It didn't come from Italy. You've got to see Parmigiano Reggiano. Now this one is aged for 24 months. That's a fantastic thing. And one of the interesting things I learned is that true great Parmesan Reggiano used to be only allowed to be produced in the spring or the fall from cows that were eating growing grass. Now, with the popularity of Parmesan cheese, they are allowed to be fed all year round. But if you're lucky enough to know a cheesemonger, you can actually find Parmesan cheese that was made in the spring or fall. These cows are A2 producers. It's protein dense. Believe it or not, there's actually 10 grams of high quality protein per ounce. They've got all 9 essential amino acids, good for your muscles, and with about 30% of your daily calcium needs in just 1 ounce. This cheese is beneficial for maintaining strong bones and teeth. The phosphorus contains further aids in calcium absorption and is essential for cellular function. You know how to eat Parmesan cheese. You can grate it over vegetables. You can stir it into soups and sauces. And don't waste the rind. Put it in soups and it'll give a real flavor boost. I love my daily cup of tea, or 3. And lately I've added another hot beverage to my routine. Peak Nanduka Mushroom Coffee Alternative. I'm loving Nanduka because of the more mushrooms we can consume, the better for our brain health and longevity. Peak Nanduka also tastes delicious, like a creamy spiced hot chocolate, and has up to 20 times the concentration of mushroom extracts and powerful antioxidants from the cacao. So, why not give yourself or your loved ones a delicious boost of immunity and clean, long-lasting energy from probiotic teas without those caffeine jitters with Peak Nanduka. Plus, you'll be consuming several different mushrooms like lion's mane and chaga in every cup. That's a powerful cup of tea for health. Before we move on, I want to go next door to France. Again, I'm holding this up because, look, there's a French flag. This one is made from cow's milk, which are A2 in France. And again, you want to look at cultures, and there it is. So this is triple cream brie. If you're on a ketogenic diet where you want a high-fat diet, believe it or not, do not be afraid of triple cream brie. Literally 70% of it is cream. What you're really looking for is it came from France, not from America. If it came from America, put it back. It doesn't contain casein A2, it contains casein A1. If it came from America, it likely was not made with active cultures. Now, these cheeses are better the longer they sit around. Most of the stores sell this very hard. You're really not going to like it very much. Take it out of this wrapper, wrap it in cheese paper or wax paper or parchment paper, put it in the refrigerator, and wait till the middle gets really squishy. it'll start to be kind of a stinky cheese. And that stinkiness is actually the sign that the fermentation process is going full bore, and you get all these amazing polyamines and spermidines that you're looking for. Okay, let's go over to Holland. The famous cheeses in Holland, like Gouda, are unfortunately made with casein A1 cows. However, we're rapidly finding goat Gouda and even goat cheddar, which is A2 milk. Now, the nice thing about these guys, both sheep and goats, their fats contain a lot of medium-chain triglycerides, MCTs. In fact, about 30% of the fat in goat and sheep milk are MCTs. Now, studies suggest that medium-chain fatty acids in goat cheese can actually help manage cholesterol levels by reducing the bad LDL and increasing the good HDL cholesterol. And this can actually lower the risk of cardiovascular diseases. Once again, it's easier to digest than cow's milk, and goat cheese may have anti-inflammatory effects that can be beneficial for conditions like arthritis and other inflammatory disorders. Also look for how long it's aged. This one is 8 months. Again, the longer it's aging, the more the benefit. It just means more pricey. Finally, head over to Switzerland. Now, most of the cows in Switzerland are A2. The two most common that you're going to find in most stores is Gruyere and Comté. Now, these are fermented cheeses, and in most cases, it will show it right on the package. In fact, there it is, cheese culture. And you will see that, surprise, surprise, it's from Switzerland. Once again, the longer they're aged, the better they are for you, but these are fermented foods. So fermented dairy products like cheese contain probiotics, but that's not the important thing. They contain postbiotics, which are the products of the bacteria eating the sugars in cheese. So these are the active things that you're actually looking for heart health. The probiotics are not the important thing. It's the postbiotics in cheese that's the real benefit. These guys are easy to find, and like I say, they're in most stores. Try them. I think you'll like them. They both have really a nutty flavor that is really good. Finally, one thing that's interesting about cheeses that was discovered by Weston Price back in the 1930s and 40s, he discovered a compound that he called factor X or vitamin X that he found only in cheeses that he described as essential for bone density and heart health. And it wasn't until very recently that factor X was actually vitamin K2. And so one of the great benefits of cheeses is that they are a great source of vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 I prescribe as a supplement to all my patients, and I even have it as a product at Gundry MD, because it helps vitamin D take calcium and put it in your bones where it belongs rather than in your blood vessels. So cheese can have a lot of benefits, even though you think it's bad for you. Some of the longest living people in the world live on these cheese products and live well. So I often get questions from patients or online, how much cheese can I have? I have seen people, and I used to do a diagram in my office where I showed them a 1 by 1 inch piece of cheese, which has anywhere from 120 to 150 calories in that 1 inch piece of cheese. I then bring out 5 bags of romaine lettuce from Trader Joe's, which just so happened to have 150 calories. And I say, How many bags of romaine lettuce do you think you can possibly eat before you get too full to eat another bite? I've done this myself. I got through 2.5 bags of lettuce before I had to quit because I was too full. Now, in the interest of science, I was able to eat 10 1-inch pieces of cheese without feeling full. And when I have patients who tell me they don't eat very much, oftentimes when I actually make them break down, cheese, sadly, is one of their guilty pleasures. A little cheese goes a long way. Number 2, the important thing about these cultures in cheese, the bacteria will eat that very inflammatory sugar molecule that's in all milk products called Nu-5GC. And the cool thing is the bacteria will rid the cheese of Nu-5GC. And this has been shown in studies looking at Nu-5GC content. Finally, Parmesan cheese, there is an interesting study in Italy that men who eat Parmesan cheese have much better vascular health than men who don't eat Parmesan cheese. Finally, there are some people who absolutely raise their LDL and total cholesterols eating cheese. But I hope by now most people realize that the cholesterol theory of heart disease is slowly dying a painful death. Inflammation is the cause of heart disease. Cheeses reduce inflammation and reduce oxidative stress. So I tell my patients in my practice, I don't really care about your cholesterol. I want to know whether you're oxidizing your cholesterol, and I want to know if there's inflammation on your blood vessels. And surprisingly, my cheese eaters don't have oxidized LDL and they don't have inflammation on their blood vessels. And that explains why some of the healthiest people in the world are cheese and yogurt eaters. Just to be clear, a cheese food product is not a cheese. And most of what we're peddled in the United States is a cheese food product. What I'm talking about is the cheeses that were made in a traditional way with active cultures. And most of them will show you on the back the word cheese cultures or cultures. That's what you're looking for. Thanks for watching, but don't go anywhere. The next episode of the Dr. Gundry Podcast is waiting for you now. There's no human need for cheese, so if it doesn't work for your body, just skip it. But there's plenty of room for other delicious uncouplers, like dark chocolate.